Welcome back to another college game coverage. Oklahoma State coming back with a 82-77 victory against Texas Tech. I'm Ryan Breeden, joined by Chris Becker and Grant Ramirez. And guys, that was a close one, don't you think?
Yeah, down to the wire for sure. Oklahoma State had that 12-point lead for, what seemed like most of the first half. And then in the second half, Texas Tech just came roaring back. And once Texas Tech took the lead, it was just back and forth from there. And we got some free basketball out of it, though. So,
yeah, for sure. It really seemed like it was going to turn out, kind of how their first two games of conference play turned out, where they, kind of back and forth. And at the end, they just kind of falter and freeze up a little bit. But they made enough plays in the end to pull it through. So credit to them for that.
What did you guys think of Isaac Likely today? Obviously, Coach Boynton had talked earlier this week about just needing to get Ice more involved in the game and how him being fifth or sixth on the team in shots is not okay, and he has to be at least second. So what did you guys think of him being able to come in and actually kind of take over, especially late down the stretch?
Yeah. I think late down the stretch after Cade fouled out, that's kind of when they kind of started running everything through Ice in the post. And I love when they do that for him, just because I think, he's like so big and so strong. He usually has a mismatch down there too. And he's like such a good passer that he knows how to pass out if he gets doubled, or he knows how to make the right play out of there, or he can make a basket. So I think in a weird way, Cade fouling out gave them a different look on offense, just running it through him, and it worked effectively because he was really good for them down the stretch.
Yeah. When Cade fouled out, that it almost lit a spark on the OSU's offensive end, because really nothing was falling for the throughout most of the game. After the first few minutes, OSU's offense kind of was super shaky. And then after Cade fouled out in overtime, something lit the spark, and they scored 14 points. Ice was a big part of this whole game, really. 17 points, tied for the team leading in points, and then 7 rebounds. There was that possession down towards the end of the game where just a whole, I think it's 3 offensive rebounds for OSU, and then Ice dished it off to Keelan, and Keelan got that put back and won. So, Ice was all over the court today, and I think today was definitely one of his better games at Oklahoma State.
And it wasn't just Ice either. I mean, it was a very balanced scoring attack. I mean, you had Avery had 17, Isaac had 17, Cade with 13, and then Bryce Williams, as Coach Boynton called him the Christmas present that he gave to himself by deciding to start him. Bryce Williams had an amazing game on both sides of the ball. He comes out, hits 3 straight threes to start the game, and he finishes with 15 and gets 2 big steals late on the defensive end with that one in overtime to seal things.
Right, yeah. Bryce Williams really he played great. This is kind of what we've been getting glimpses of all season when he comes off the bench, and then now we got a full game worth of it. He played 36 minutes. Farron only played 2, and some other bench guys only played a few. So, Bryce Williams really he earned the starting job today, and he said it in this postgame press conference. He hopes he gets some more. I think this kind of earned him at least another start.
Speaking of that postgame press conference, I just wanted to point out an all-time quote from Bryce Williams of "If you're going to gamble, make sure you get it." I think that's a tattoo-worthy quote, if you ask me, Chris.
Yeah, we'll handle that away from this, but that quote was he got those 2 late steals, and that sealed the deal for Oklahoma State. And like Coach Boynton said, this was a 1-possession game without that Avery Anderson layup at the end, and that's 3 straight 1-possession games for Oklahoma State, and that's Big 12 basketball. And Big 12 basketball is a competitive league. Texas beat Kansas today, OU beat West Virginia today. Teams are beating up on each other, and Oklahoma State's gonna have to win games like this if they're gonna compete in the Big 12.
Grant, I wanted to ask you, what did you see from Oklahoma State that it changed from Texas to now? Because they talked about it, and Avery had said, we have an extra sense of urgency. We're rejuvenated. And then Coach Boynton talked about some things that he saw adjustment-wise. Was there anything that you saw that was different today that maybe they hadn't been doing in the first 2 conference games?
Hitting shots early was big. Them taking that 12-point lead and holding on to that just because they hadn't been shooting well at all this season. They seemed like they didn't really have any good stretches where they were just knocked down from 3. Bryce started out 3 for 3, and then they hit another one early. So I think shooting was a big thing for them that kind of gave them a boost early. And I guess just composure, down the stretch, when going their way, they kept trying to make different adjustments down the stretch until they found something that worked. So I think that's something that was big for them in this one.
What do you guys make of the free throw shooting for Oklahoma State? I mean, it's been somewhat shaky all year. They started out really well, starting 8 for 8 from the free throw line, and then it got a little bit shaky there down the stretch in the second half, and it was at the point where almost cost them the game, but thankfully they were able to figure things out, send it to overtime, figure it out from there. But what do you guys make of just kind of the up and down free throw situation and just what that could mean?
Yeah, like Chris was mentioning, every game is a one possession game. Like those free throws are going to be big in the end, so making those are going to be huge for them.
Yeah, I think you hit it on the nail on the head. Shaky is the word to describe that, and like you said, it almost cost them the game. But in the end, the 3 free throws were what took this game to overtime. So,
yes, very true.
So it almost lost them the game, but it ended up helping win the game. So, I mean, you have to make free throws to win basketball games, and going what was it? It was they finished 18 of 24. I mean,
which isn't a bad percentage.
You have to get a higher percentage there, and it'll be all right. It's gotten increasingly better. I think it started out really, really bad, and so the starting 8 for 8 is certainly a glimmer of hope.
So now, as we move forward, I mean, it's a pretty quick turnaround. On Monday night, 2 days from now, Oklahoma State hosts number 9 West Virginia. Granted, they're not going to be number 9 for long. They just lost to Oklahoma today in Norman. But what do you make of that matchup?
I mean, it's another tough matchup for Oklahoma State, just like these first 3 have been. Another top 15 team, this time in Stillwater. So Oklahoma State's going to have to defend its home court. And this is the first time that these freshmen have to defend their home court against a top 15 team. So it'll be interesting to see how they come out after this big win. And I think this big win is going to help them because it almost gives them it just shows like they can do this. Like they can hang with the big team, the top 15 teams in the nation. And it'll be a fun game on Monday for sure.
Indeed, it will. Before we close things out here, is there anything that either of you want to say? Grant, do you have something you want to say before we close it out here?
I just kind of want to mention on West Virginia, they're generally a super big physical team. So that'll be an interesting matchup for an OSU team that's generally, smaller and playing their cards at the forward spots and kind of playing small. But West Virginia did lose Oscar Tshiebwe, so that's kind of something in OSU's favor, not having another big to deal with on their team.
Should be an interesting one. So that one is on Monday night at 8:00 on ESPN2. So stay tuned for that, and then we'll be back here again. I would assume a assortment of the 3 of us, 2 of the 3 or all 3 of us will be back again talking about whatever happens in that game on Monday night after it. So until then, I'm Ryan Breeden, joined by Chris Becker and Grant Ramirez, and we'll see you guys on Monday night.